Vinyl community, it's been a minute, right? How the hell are you? It's 2022. A lot of things have happened since the last time I've actually shown my face on the camera. So, but we'll get into that in the not too distant future. Right now, I am here to do the 2022 vinyl tag. And I got to thank a couple people, Stuntrock and Fusion and Rob Rocker, Let the Music Play. Both channels will be linked below. I kind of did a page out of Paul's book and took questions out of both. There's the host, right? We're all here for him. I'm just tagging along. So let's get into these questions. You can say hi to everybody and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
There you go.
Also, I need to go let our dog in.
Okay, well, there we go. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions because there's 22. How clever that we've done it to match 2022. You know. Anyway, the first record you bought this year bought in 2021, I had to go back into the Discogs records to take a look to figure out what it was. It was the reissue of Stone Temple Pilots' second album, affectionately known Purple or just Stone Temple Pilots or whatever the case you would like. Classic for me. I absolutely love this album. There's not too many with Scott Weiland that I don't really love. I'm a huge Scott Weiland fan, so that was a must for me. I need to pick up some others. The last record that you bought in 2021, this one just squeaked in under the wire. I bought it. It technically didn't arrive until January, but I purchased it, and it was paid for right at the end of the year. And that's the reissue that should have come out on Record Store Day of Tesla's Mechanical Resonance on the beautiful blue wax. So this has been making its way into record stores. As soon as it got in, I gave it a spin, and the sound on it is really good. So I was very happy to get this one. I know that there's OGs out there. I don't think that they're horribly priced, but this one was at a great deal. And thank you, Billy Hurst at Riverbend, for making this one happen for me. I thoroughly appreciate it. So if you haven't shopped Riverbend Records, you don't need to be in the area. He will ship worldwide. So I'd highly recommend that you check him out. Number 3, a cheapo record you found this year. So I'm going to do a feature on a new store in my area that I've hit a few times. One of the things I did when I first went in there the first time was I went through all his cheapo bins just to see what I could find with goodies. And this was one that came home with me. This is the Jim Carroll Band, Catholic Boy. This is an original press gold stamp promo. The cover actually is a little weathered up top, and okay, there's your gold stamp promo. A little weathered up top, and it's got some water issues at the bottom. But the vinyl was actually really clean and in really good shape, all things considered. And I got it for a couple of bucks. I mean, it really was a great price. So just some great, power pop. New wave from the 80s. Definitely was glad they picked that one up. It actually been on my wish list for a while, so I've been looking for it. Number 4, an album from your youth you're finally getting on wax. So let's not say because it's so limited. We're just saying it's just So there was a bunch of reissues for Rocktober of the Echo and the Bunnymen. So I ended up picking up their first 4. Echo and the Bunnymen was a huge staple of my early listening diet, thanks to the DC metro area. I've talked about them before, WHFS. A lot of new wave, a lot of post-punk, a lot of alternative music was a heavy rotation staple of my diet. So I had... I want to say I had Heaven Up Here on cassette, and I think I had I think someone dubbed me Ocean Rain, or at least most of it. So getting these 4, which I was very familiar with, all on wax, very excited, wonderful reissues, highly recommend them. Again, just a staple of my early angst. A concept album. This is another band you're going to see featured in the weeks to come from videos from me. That's Porcupine Tree. This was their last studio album. This is The Incident. It came about when Steven Wilson was driving home and he was stuck in traffic because of an accident. And it just said, the marquees over the road said, traffic incident with the delays. And it kind of sparked this creativity about how an incident, can change the direction of so many things in just a short period of time. I love his creativity. I'm a huge Porcupine Tree fan, which you will again see in the videos to come, because they've been reissuing a lot of these, and I'm just so happy to be picking them up. So there we go there. Let's see, a record from a new artist in 2021. I would say that she's fairly new. I wouldn't say that she is. Maybe she might have been around like a couple of years. But this one was turned on to me by John over at the Digital Gramophone. He'd highly recommend this one. This was Amethyst Keel, Wary and Strange. And this is popping up on a lot of best of 2021 list for good reason. Singer-songwriter, soulful, can do the folk feel and marries those two well. If I were to say one part Joan Armatrading and one part Jill Scott, it would almost be there. There's a little bit of an Americana feel to that as well, but she can get real soulful. But she can, she definitely has one of her feet in the roots rock. I really enjoyed this one. I've spun it quite a few times this year. It was a surprise. People I think who know me probably probably know that I don't usually gravitate to these types of things as much. Doesn't mean I say no to them, but it was really impressed with this one. And I'm gonna try to do a 2021 highlight of new albums, just straight new albums that came out this year. And I definitely want to do some features on that one because that one was ranked fairly high. A record you spent the most on this year. So we're not going to go with a record. We're going to go with an artist because things got a little crazy. And that is these guys, Tool. So if you know Tool, there's very few official presses out there on wax, but I was able to pick up quite a few unofficials. There's Lateralis, there's Anima. This is actually their first. It's the Tool 72826. That was their very first demo, and it actually has some bonus tracks on there as well. Which is one of them is a Led Zeppelin cover of No Quarter, 10,000 Days, and then Fair Inoculum. I would love for these to get a good, strong press, maybe even audio file, but for some reason, I don't know why they're not making it a priority for them. Yes, as you see, my host and the dog, one of the dogs. But I would love to see some reissues or some good quality presses of these. These are really good for what they are. They're probably digitally sourced, and it is what it is. But yeah, that's probably where I spent a lot of money on. So anyway. Now this one was like a jazz record. So I just did it to a jazz record you picked up this year. This is probably, at least for me, the most far out. I mean, I kind of stay in the hard bop lane. I do get into a spiritual modal a little bit. But this one I know starts to really spread its wings and get out there in the corners of that land of which we do not speak, free jazz, to the point where I was playing it one morning and my wife woke up and she comes in and she's like, "What are you listening to?" And she kind of gave me that face like, I don't know what this is, but it sounds like there's a cat in the blender. And I get it. This is not for everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and this is probably as crazy as I can go. before I start scratching my head, but yeah, this obviously a classic. It is the classic Blue Note reissue series, and those are just fantastic sounding. So, one of the many jazz albums I picked up this year. An album that took you the longest to file, which means you probably picked it up and just sat around in your in-play box or whatever, for whatever reason. And I actually picked this up, and it was pretty close on which one I picked up first. This one of Stone Temple Pilots, and honestly, this one really meant a lot to me to pick it up, and it really has been kind of like a second level set. Usually for level sets, my brain has just gone off the deep end. I use Love Supreme, but this has been a very close second, so I've spun it quite a bit. And that's Eva Cassidy's Nightbird. So some of us are familiar with Eva Cassidy. I think a large majority of people are, and know her album Live at Blues Alley, which this is that CD, but the full show. So it's 4 LPs. They did a really quality repress of this, and not a moment is missed from the opening to Blue Skies all the way down. I'm going to try to reduce the glare. So 4 LP set. I actually ended up picking up one for a friend, and said, you know what, I have to pick this one up for me too. If you don't know the story of Eva Cassidy, truly an amazing, beautiful soul, gone far too soon. The record companies really wanted to do stuff with her, but they didn't know what to do, because you have someone who can sing blues and traditional standards and folk and country, and she just didn't do her original, she just didn't write any original stuff, or very little as far as I know. But they were like, oh, you're too many styles, you gotta stick with one. I mean, now you got people doing 50 different styles. So it's crazy how she just kind of missed the window. But if you're not familiar with Eva Cassidy, please do yourself a favor. Just an amazing voice that really has a lot of power, but also a lot of tenderness. So that one took me a while to kind of want to put away, and it probably won't go away now. Let's see, where am I at now? A pre-order adventure. So I pre-ordered this album, I don't know, February, March of 2021, because it was supposed to be out in May of 2021, then June, then August, September, October. It's definitely going to be November. We promise it'll be in November. It's shipping in December. Yeah, I got this like right around, like a couple weeks before the holidays. And that's Uncle's Ronin Volume 1. So this is meant as a vinyl mixtape, if you will. Remixes, maybe some B-sides, but it's all done under the Uncle imprint. Uncle is the brainchild of James Lavelle, who was responsible for the Bowax label, which put DJ Shadow on, and then they went on to form the first version of Uncle. And then the idea was that Uncle would kind of be a revolving door of guest appearances and maybe album features, but James Lavelle would kind of be at the helm of it all. So this was supposed to be here, but felt like bazillions of years ago. Excuse me. It just took forever. You got the limited edition white with orange swirl or splatter. But I'm also going to use this for the next question, which is an album you haven't listened to. And the reason why I haven't listened to this is that I actually got 2. I got one, and I got one for my friend Brad. It's not a surprise. He paid for it, but I figured, hey, if I'm going to get one, you want to get one too, because he's also an Uncle fan. And we'll save on shipping, which we thought we were doing a deal. You know, it really didn't work out to be much of a deal at all in saving the shipping. And then the time we waited, it was ridiculous. So, so I have his. I have not seen him since they've come in. So I got to give you. He knows I have it. You know, we call it the Christmas miracle. But I just got to hook up with him. So until I can give it to him, because he's waited as long as I have, I'm going to wait. Next up, a 7-inch single. Soul Coughing Soundtrack to Mary. On the B side is White Girl. This is a UK promo sent to me by Dave, Local Bandography, on clear vinyl. He saw it somewhere and knew I am a huge Soul Coughing fan, which I am, and said, you got to have it. And I said, thank you, because you're a righteous dude. So there we go. I'm not using that for the VCLT question, by the way. A record that you love that you just haven't spent a lot of time with as of late, and not just the record, but the band. That's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is Knocking on Infinity, one of my favorites from them, and I just honestly have not spun much King Gizzard recently. I need to change that. They've been putting out 50,000 live albums. It's tough when you fall in love with a band and you decide that you want to collect their entire discography, and then they go out and say, oh, by the way, here's 9 albums this month. And it's like, no, stop. So I really got to get back with them and start picking up some of the ones I've missed, and really try to get back with them.
2,000 years later.
Okay, next. An album with cool cover art that you picked up this year. Now, I kind of took this as any album you picked up this year. Hopefully that don't mean just 2021. Soft Machine's debut. This is the band cover because it's got nudity and the pinwheel, which, if I can, yeah, it spins sort of, kind of. You can see it. The cover isn't in the greatest of shape, but I was happy to get this at a steal of a deal. It wasn't like I was holding out for one of these with the band cover, and I'm just going to stop because this is driving me nuts. But it would have been nice to get. Fell into it from a good friend, Kathy, at Music and More. She gave me a deal. She said that album's VG because it's probably got a few pops and things. I cleaned it up. It's not too bad. And I'm happy with it. So there we go. Show some VCLT. Robert Cray's newest. My buddy Jeff Kempen, and Emma at Avon Low went to go see the Robert Cray band perform live, and then Jeff acquired a copy of this album signed by Mr. Cray. I want to say did he buy it? Emma buy it? I don't remember. My brain does not work these days. But, so he ended up with an extra and he said, hey, did I want it? And I'm like, name your price. And he just sent it as VCLT because we love each other, because we're brothers. I don't like that. You're creepy. So he sent this to me. So Jeff, thank you so much. I am internally grateful to you because this album kicks ass. An album from a band you saw live for the first, like your first concert. Genesis. I've talked about seeing Genesis as my first concert for a long time. I could have pulled the Mama or their self-titled because it was the Mama tour. That was the one I actually saw them on. But I pulled this one specifically because this was given to me by Bill with the vinyl verse. He sent me a MoFi copy of Trick of the Tail. It's one of like 2 MoFis that I have. I would love to get more, but damn, they're pricey. But there's a reason why I picked this. Next question. Your big dig. The big... And I think a lot of people are going to kind of talk about the fact that they scored X, Y, and Z, and they had these deals. Not me. As you can see here, I actually went to Philadelphia. Went to Philadelphia to be with Bill to go see Genesis. Bill and I have been long friends. We're in a group chat of a few of us. We talk pretty much every day. And we joked and said, if they ever do this, it'd be awesome. And I had said that I would travel because I know his kids. He's got a younger, his two kids. His youngest is younger than mine, and it might just be easier for me to travel. And earlier this year, they said they're going on tour, and we're like, and boy, am I glad I traveled because they weren't coming to Florida at all. Few dates in and out. 15, 20. So bought the tickets. Bill and I planned, the meetup. And so we went to a couple of his spots, and I will show them. I'll show those records another time. But yeah, it was really great to go hang out with Bill and spend the day with him. And then we saw Genesis one last time together. So it was an emotional concert, to say the least. But a lot of fun. It was great seeing Bill. It was great meeting Bill after all these years, and it's awesome to see Genesis one more time. So a punk and new wave album. You think new wave, you think Missing Persons, Destination Unknown, Walking in LA. It's pretty new wave if you ask me. Let's face it, Terry Brazzo's hair. I think I'm saying that right. Bozio, excuse me. Her hair, her makeup. It doesn't get much more new wave than that, right? So, Missing Persons. A non-music purchase or pickup, which not a non-music, but a non-vinyl music related. West Coast Seattle Boy on Blu-ray. It's Jimmy. Do we need to talk? I didn't think so. Let's move on. An album you purchased this year that not a lot of people are talking about. And again, I'm going to be doing a 2021 kind of featurette on a bunch of the albums I picked up that were new albums this year. And this was really close to being my hip-hop album of the year. This is The Gift of Gab, who is the rapper from Blackalicious, and his album Finding Inspiration Somehow. So he had this done and ready, and it was in the pressing process when, unfortunately, we lost Gift of Gab. He had been battling severe kidney issues for quite some time, dialysis almost daily at some points, and it just finally caught up with him. And it was a terrible loss, because Gift was really a wordsmith, really could do some incredible things with wordplay and alliteration. And if you ever saw the video of Daniel Radcliffe on one of the talk shows rapping a song called Alphabet Aerobics, that was Blackalicious, that was Gift of Gab. So, Blackalicious is Gift of Gab and Chief XL, the DJ producer. He's done a couple projects on his own. I had one 12-inch of Blackalicious on wax, and then that's it. That's all I had. And so when this came out, I had to get it. And really was just a fantastic album through and through. He is not your normal MC. He is definitely someone who is more alternative, more conscious, more woke, more he doesn't do a lot of this typical hip-hop trope. So if you are a fan of what's kind of left of hip-hop, definitely worth your time. Your favorite album you purchased in 2021, and I would have to say, I don't know if this would be my favorite album, but it was definitely one of my favorite purchases. of 2021, and I was so glad to get it, and I was so glad to find it because I didn't think I would. And thanks to Music on Vinyl for the reissue, this is the Pink Fairies Never Neverland. And I just never thought I would see this, and originals are pricey. And it just so happened I was checking out, hey, what's Music on Vinyl doing this year? And this popped up, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I made sure I got it, and couldn't be happier. I've spun this a few times. This is great, just hard rock, fuzzed out, a little bit of psych to keep you going. So if you're not familiar with Pink Fairies, please check them out. Just an absolutely fantastic listen. And then lastly, your most anticipated release of 2022. Well, it's early, so we're going to probably have a lot of announcements this year. But one that has, at least on a short stack, been announced, and I'm super stoked, and I'm super happy to see it get a proper, affordable reissue. And that's Marvin Gates, What's Going On. So if you aren't aware, they are in February, I believe it is, mid-February. This is getting a 50th anniversary issue, which should have been last year, but pressing plans, delays, COVID, coronavirus, whatever. But Kevin Gray has done a direct transfer from the original analog tapes. There's going to be it's a 2 LP set. One is the album proper. I know there's been MoFi one step, but that breaks up the album because it's 245 RPMs. And I was very intrigued by that, but I like how the album flows. I like how the album is put together and everything flows into one another. So I didn't want to have that break. So this one's going to be the true album, all proper, on 33. And then the second album is some outtakes, some songs that quite didn't make the cut, and things like that. But Kevin Gray has handled all of the mastering on that. So it's been in quality hands. So this is, I think, either a second or a third press. And it's okay. I mean, it's done its job for what it needs to. Originals of this are stupid. I mean, you know, and some of the later reissues have just not sounded up to speed. It's been you know, digital transfers or just haven't had the body that it should have. So very excited about this one. So this one so far ranking very, very high for my favorite of or most excited for 2022. So that's it. Hey, this didn't hurt. So maybe we'll do this again sometime soon. Again, I want to thank Stuntrock and Rob Walker for putting these together. Like I said, there was lots to choose from. I kind of just picked and choose a la Paul, and just chose the ones that I felt best suited, what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to share. So I do have a couple things I've got planned that I'd like to get out by the end of the month. But I've taken new position at work in the last few months, and it's been keeping me busy. But things are starting to kind of breathe a little bit. So hopefully I can get my 2021 thoughts together very soon. I got a lot to just show you. I mean, it's been a busy year. So, and because of that, I want to slow down in 22 because, but it's not like I don't have a lot to show, trust me. And so, anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Now I can go watch some of the other tags because I didn't watch many and I didn't want to get into influence, but I'm looking forward to watching a few. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out with me, especially while I was gone for a few months. But take care, everybody. Love you all. We'll talk soon. Peace.